There's something you need to hear, not by chance, but by divine intention. If you're listening to these words right now, it's because you're meant to. This moment isn't accidental. You've been marked for something extraordinary, something far beyond the surface of everyday life. The events unfolding around you, the deep stirring within, are not random. They're signals of something sacred at work. You've been handpicked for a purpose that defies logic and transcends understanding. And while many will never recognize such a calling, you do. That awareness is why you're here. That sense of knowing is why you've kept searching. And now, you're standing at the edge of everything you've been prepared for. You've waited long enough. The season of delays, doubts, and quiet wondering is being lifted. The door is opening, not because of coincidence, but because you were meant to walk through it. What you've sensed in your spirit is real. That invisible force guiding you forward. It's been the hand of the divine all along. You haven't been imagining things. The dreams, the promptings, the gut feelings that led you to this moment, they were all whispers from something higher. And now, that whisper is becoming a roar. But before we dive deeper, take a moment to do something symbolic. By engaging, by liking, subscribing, and commenting, you're not just helping this message reach others. You're declaring to the universe that you're ready. Drop the number 99 in the comments as a sign of your readiness. That simple action can speak volumes in the spiritual realm, affirming your alignment with what's coming. If you feel compelled to stay until the final word is spoken, trust that intuition. Some messages aren't meant to be half heard. They're meant to be fully received by hearts that are awake and spirits that are prepared. If you're still here, it's because deep down, you already sensed this was crafted for you. This is not for everyone. It's for those whose souls have been crying out for purpose, clarity, and truth. So what does it mean, really mean, to be chosen by the Creator? It's more than a phrase. It's an invitation. A call to step out of the shadows of ordinary life and into a role that's quietly extraordinary. Often, this calling won't announce itself with fanfare. It's subtle, like a soft pull at the center of your being, a nudge in your spirit that refuses to be ignored. That's not random. That's the mark of sacred purpose. This isn't something to flash around like a badge. It's not about being seen or celebrated by others. In fact, it's often hidden, deep and silent, like treasure buried in the soul. When you are chosen, it's not for fame or prestige. It's not about climbing ladders or gaining followers. It's about alignment, about your inner life syncing up with something so much larger, something eternal. It's a merging of your deepest truth with the divine will. You weren't picked because of your resume or your reputation. You were chosen because your heart was open, because somewhere in the quiet corners of your soul, you were willing to say yes before you even understood the question. And that quiet yes has echoed across the heavens. It's that surrender, that readiness, that made space for your purpose to unfold. Being chosen is both an honor and a responsibility. It's a sacred trust, and often it comes with burdens that others can't see. It calls you to carry yourself with humility, with grace, and with strength that is born not from ego but from faith. You might walk through seasons of loneliness, of confusion, of silent preparation, and wonder why things feel so different for you. That difference is not a mistake, it's confirmation. You were never meant to fit in because you were designed to stand apart, not in arrogance, but in purpose. The world might mislabel your journey. You may be misunderstood or dismissed. But the one who called you knows your name, your steps, your heart. You're not alone in this. You've been accompanied by a presence, quietly guiding, patiently teaching, lovingly waiting for you to catch up with the destiny already written for you. This divine invitation is not a loud, forceful interruption of your life. It's more like a persistent feeling, a soft insistence that you're meant for something beyond the surface. You may have sensed it during sleepless nights, or while watching the world move around you with a strange sense of disconnection. That sense, that holy discontent, is not a problem to fix, but a signpost pointing toward your purpose. When you're chosen, you begin to notice how the pieces start to connect in ways you never expected. You look back and see how the detours were really redirections. The delays were really lessons. The pain was preparation. You start to see a thread of meaning weaving through your past, and suddenly it all begins to make sense. Not because everything is easy now, but because you understand it's not random. This path requires courage. It won't always be straightforward. In fact, it rarely is. There will be turns you don't anticipate, hills that feel steep, valleys that feel endless. But along that path, you'll also find revelations, glimpses of a greater love guiding you forward. And in those moments, the struggle becomes sacred, the journey becomes holy. It's important to know that being chosen doesn't mean being better. It means being ready. Ready to serve, ready to transform, ready to lead, not from a pedestal, but from the depths of your soul. God's selection isn't about appearances. Often it's those who feel least qualified who are most equipped. Why? Because they lean not on their own strength, but on the source that never runs dry. You don't need to have it all figured out. In fact, you won't. That's part of the mystery. But as long as your heart remains willing and your spirit remains open, the next step will always appear. Maybe not all at once. Maybe not with flashing lights. But it will come. One faithful step at a time. And with each step, you become more of who you were always meant to be. At first, the voice may sound faint, like a breeze through trees. But as you quiet the noise around you and within you, you'll start to hear it more clearly. The calling becomes louder not because it changes, but because you're finally listening. The divine doesn't shout, it whispers, and those who listen, those who are still enough to hear, discover truths that many miss. The whisper will challenge you. It will ask you to leave comfort zones, to release what no longer serves your higher purpose, and to trust a plan you can't always see. But the peace that follows, that unmistakable peace, is the confirmation you've longed for. You'll know, not with your head, but with your soul. This journey also invites choice. That's the beautiful paradox. You are chosen, yes, but you are never forced. Your will remains your own. The divine path is extended, not imposed. You're invited to walk it, not dragged along it. And in that choice lies incredible power. The power to say yes to something eternal. The path unfolds only when you choose to take it. It's a partnership. You and the divine, hand in hand. You bring your willingness, your faith, your obedience. God brings the guidance, the power, the plan. Together, something incredible is created, not just for you, but for the lives your path will touch. You are not just being led into purpose. You are becoming part of someone else's breakthrough, someone else's healing, someone else's answered prayer. You may feel fear. That's normal. Even the most faithful felt fear when they were first called. But fear doesn't disqualify you. In fact, it often confirms that you're stepping into something greater than you. You're not walking alone. The same power that called you will carry you. The same love that chose you will sustain you. This path will stretch you. It will strip away the false layers, the illusions, the ego. It will call you into deeper waters where your feet can't touch the bottom. But it's in those waters that miracles happen. It's there that you find out who you really are, not who the world told you to be, but who you were created to become. And now, here you are. At the edge of something new, you can feel it, like electricity in the air, like something shifting under your feet. The season is changing. You are not who you were a year ago, a month ago, or even yesterday. Something inside you is awakening. Something sacred is taking shape. It's not dramatic. It's deeper than that. It's quiet, certain, unshakable. So take this moment to breathe, to listen, to trust that what you feel is real. You've been called for a reason, prepared for a purpose, and the time to step forward is now. Not when you feel ready, not when things are perfect, but now, in the midst of the unknown, in the middle of your questions, right where you are. Because the truth is, you've always been ready, you just needed to remember who you are. You are chosen, and your journey is just beginning. Stepping forward won't always be easy, but here lies the truth. Embracing your calling demands belief and bravery. It calls for you to walk forward into unfamiliar territory, holding only your confidence in God's design to lead the way. Faith is more than the idea that something might work out. It's the deep certainty that you are precisely where you're intended to be. It's the quiet assurance that even when you can't see clearly, God's presence is unwavering and close. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the resolve to act despite it, facing the uncharted road with confidence rooted in divine trust. Faith and courage won't always come naturally, but they are the essential traits that shape you into the individual God has set apart. They empower you to press forward when adversity rises against you. At times, those around you may not comprehend your journey, loved ones might struggle to relate to your decisions, and there will likely be instances when you question your own strength. But stepping into your purpose means having a heart that remains steadfast, a soul grounded in the belief that God's intentions for you far surpass any anxiety or second-guessing. This is the pivotal point, when you embrace your full identity, not with ease, but with determination. Accepting the call is not a trivial choice. It's perhaps the most vital step you will ever take. The life of someone set apart is not walked in isolation. As you progress, divine direction accompanies you, offering insight beyond your understanding. It's like an unseen but ever-present hand, guiding you even when the next move seems veiled. That sacred direction manifests in countless ways. A deep gut feeling, unexpected occurrences, serendipitous moments, and the soft inner whisper that gently stirs within your heart. This isn't the kind of knowledge that comes from reasoning, but a truth uncovered only when your spirit is in tune with the divine. Walking this spiritual path demands surrender to a plan far more intricate than anything you could script for yourself. It requires letting go of your grip on control and allowing God to orchestrate each movement. At times, this divine navigation might appear faint or unclear. But as your relationship with God strengthens, the signs and directions will become more apparent. You'll begin to witness them in what may seem like small coincidences, a timely encounter, a passage from a book, or a tranquil moment of insight. God's wisdom surrounds those who actively seek it. This road may urge you to take leaps that appear irrational, yet when you anchor your trust in divine leadership, even when logic advises otherwise, you'll discover each step moves you closer to the sacred mission designed for your soul. This timeless wisdom does not conform to human limitations. It is eternal, drawing you ever nearer to the fulfillment of your highest calling. A quiet, nearly invisible awakening begins inside you, an unshakable sense that your existence holds greater meaning. This gentle inner prompting is your first divine signal, the initial stir of destiny that moves you to reach beyond the surface and connect with the purpose planted in your soul. It's not born of effort or imagination, but arises from the depths of your being, a silent, unexplainable longing for more. In its early stages, it may manifest as unease or the feeling that something is absent. Or perhaps it's a pull to impact the world beyond your current understanding. This inward urging nudges you to leave behind your familiar surroundings and pursue the mystery beneath your daily experiences. And once you tune into it, once you take that initial step, it will carry you to realms you never anticipated. This quiet whisper marks the dawn of spiritual consciousness. It's the beginning of unraveling the deeper mystery of who you were always meant to become. Responding to this inner prompting is an act of honoring the divine nature within you. It represents the first milestone on a road that leads to the unveiling of your sacred assignment. Being called by God comes with a deep and significant obligation, an obligation to refine your soul. This journey is one of becoming, and before you can fully walk in your divine purpose, the shell of ego must be peeled away. The part of you that clings to recognition, control, and division must be surrendered so that your authentic self can rise. This process of cleansing is rarely easy. It involves examining and confronting the inner fears, doubts, and attachments that hinder your growth. Still, this shedding is vital to the journey. The more you release what doesn't align with your divine essence, the more you are able to embrace your truest form, the self that exists in complete harmony with God. Through this inner purification, your heart becomes a vessel ready to receive sacred wisdom. The process is both transformative and demanding. It might bring with it phases of emotional difficulty as you detach from what no longer supports your purpose. However, as you clear away the unnecessary, you create room for the divine to dwell more deeply within. From this new space, your strength, divine abilities, and unique calling emerge. This is how you become the person heaven destined you to be. Only through this internal refining can you truly begin to walk in the fullness of your divine purpose. The road marked for you will not be without difficulty. There will be seasons of intense inner turmoil, times when your confidence wanes and circumstances feel insurmountable. These aren't setbacks, though. They are sacred moments of transformation. When you face your internal darkness, you meet the parts of yourself that require healing and release. The obstacles that appear on your path are varied. Some will be external, strained connections, financial strain or loss. Others will be inward, self-doubt, fear, and the limiting narratives you've carried for years. Every challenge is an opportunity to evolve, to rise beyond your perceived limits and step closer to your divine calling. The darkness doesn't exist to break you, it exists to help shape you into an expression of divine love and compassion. The growth born from adversity defines what it means to be chosen. Each hurdle presents a chance to discard what no longer fits and step into a higher version of yourself. You may not fully grasp the meaning of your struggles as they unfold, but in time, you'll recognize them as crucial pieces of your becoming. Every difficulty is molding you into someone capable of living out God's design with grace, love, and resilient faith. As your journey deepens, something remarkable begins to arise within. Your spiritual abilities start to come alive. These gifts, intricately designed and placed within you by the divine, are not random. They are essential tools fashioned to support your sacred mission. Initially, they may present as quiet intuitions, brief insights, or subtle guidance nudging you in the right direction. Yet, as you continue to embrace your divine identity, these gifts will intensify and align with your purpose to serve and uplift. These abilities are distinct to you. Some may have existed since birth, quietly awaiting their moment of awakening. Others may emerge as you move along your spiritual path. They could appear as healing touch, deep listening, profound empathy, or the capacity to discern truth in complex situations. As they become more visible, so too does the responsibility to use them wisely. They are given to bring hope, direction, and healing to those in need. But recognizing these gifts is only the beginning. They must be cultivated with care. Just as an artist hones their craft, you too must devote time and attention to developing your spiritual tools, whether through prayer, quiet contemplation, learning, or service. The more you engage with your abilities, the more effective and refined they become. With each use, they grow stronger, becoming channels for divine light in the world. In living out your higher purpose, you'll come to realize these abilities aren't just for your benefit. They are meant to extend outward, to comfort, elevate, and enlighten others. Once these gifts awaken, your next calling is to tend to them diligently. They are not mere possessions, but sacred responsibilities entrusted to you. Caring for them involves commitment. It's about understanding their nature and being deliberate in their expansion. They require the same elements a seed needs to grow: attention, time, patience, and an open heart. This might take the form of deepening your spiritual practice, seeking wisdom, or simply creating quiet moments to hear God's voice more clearly. As you invest in these gifts, they will mature and flourish, allowing you to step fully into the sacred role for which you were created. Becoming refined in your abilities empowers you to make a deeper impact through service. However, growing in your talents also demands a spirit of humility. It's crucial to remember these aren't possessions. They are sacred endowments entrusted to you from above, meant for fulfilling a purpose far beyond yourself. When you hold this truth in your heart, you begin to treat your capabilities with sincere respect and heartfelt thankfulness, understanding that they are instruments for something greater rather than tools for personal elevation. When used in step with the divine will, your gifts naturally expand and develop, drawing you ever closer to your life's sacred mission. Cultivating what has been given to you prepares you to become a source of change, a vessel of light, leading others to awaken their own God-given calling. To be selected by the divine is to grasp the intricate dance between life's direction and your personal choices. There's a sacred plan that was woven before you took your first breath, and yet you are not merely watching events unfold. You possess the ability to make decisions, to act, and to chart your route. This is where mystery meets reality. You are integral to a cosmic narrative, yet your autonomy helps shape its outcome. Destiny is not a rigid script, but a guiding undercurrent that invites you into harmony with an eternal truth. It's the lifeline threading through your experiences, drawing you forward toward your divine task. Yet it is your intentional decisions, both minor and major, that animate that journey. Each step you choose, each intention you set, becomes a stitch in the fabric of your divine journey. What makes this so profound is that you are given the opportunity to traverse this path in a way that reflects your unique essence, your personality, your gifts, your inner compass, all while remaining in spiritual alignment. Your sacred assignment calls you forward, but it is your willingness to engage and cooperate with this calling that shapes your story. You are not caught in the web of fate, but an author within the heavenly manuscript. This means even in seasons of hardship, you are empowered to decide how you will move forward. You can mold your responses, your perspectives, and your behaviors in such a way that they mirror the divine pattern etched into your life's design. When destiny and your own will walk hand in hand, your purpose comes alive. Your daily choices become echoes in the larger symphony that God is orchestrating. Being marked for a divine purpose isn't solely about personal evolution. It is about lifting others, supporting them, and igniting the awareness of divine potential within their spirits. The path you walk demands sacrifice, one that elevates service over self-centered pursuits. Those who are chosen are often entrusted with sacred responsibilities, acts of mercy, channels of healing, bearers of wisdom, and examples in leadership. As you embrace your sacred role, you'll recognize how interconnected your life is with others. Your journey isn't lived in isolation, but as part of a shared unfolding. Serving is rarely convenient. It calls for openness, endurance, and an unwavering understanding that your choices touch lives in profound ways. Sometimes, fulfilling your sacred duty means stepping into discomfort, offering kindness when it's least expected, being present in the darkest moments. Yet in such offerings, your purpose begins to manifest. Each expression of love, every compassionate gesture, and each uplifting word becomes a testament of divine presence moving through you. When you extend yourself in service, you become a conduit through which healing flows and hope is restored. Those destined to serve aren't meant to chase accolades or applause. Their mission lies in quiet devotion, in loving profoundly and acting humbly. The essence of true service is not measured by external praise, but by the quiet transformation it brings. When you pour yourself into others with genuine compassion, you become a reflection of the divine, illuminating spaces often left in shadow. The further you commit to service, the more attuned you become to your calling, stepping deeper into the sacred role etched in your spirit. Perhaps the most sacred revelation of being chosen is the journey of yielding, releasing your grip on the wheel and trusting the hand that steers. Yielding to God's intention does not equate to resignation or passivity. It's a bold declaration of trust. It is the moment you stop striving to map every twist and embrace the unfolding path as it comes. Surrender is not weakness. It is profound faith in action. It acknowledges that your existence isn't owned, but offered to a higher rhythm, that your steps are guided by a wisdom far greater than your own. Choosing to trust doesn't always feel effortless. Life will take unexpected turns and moments will arise when clarity seems elusive. Yet it is precisely in these shadows that your trust is refined. To surrender is to say, even when I can't see the road, I believe you are walking beside me. It is to find steadiness amid uncertainty, to recognize that detours and delays are not divine redirections. In this release, peace is found. The peace that comes when the burden to understand everything lifts, and you rest in knowing that the divine is ever present and always faithful. Letting go does not strip you of agency, rather it invites you into deeper cooperation with divine guidance. In the act of trusting, you free yourself from the need to orchestrate every moment. This liberation makes room for grace, for peace, and for a life fully aligned with your sacred calling. As your soul surrenders, clarity often emerges. You begin to sense that you are moving in rhythm with the divine symphony, and that the steps you're taking are not random, but divinely choreographed. Understanding that time operates on a divine scale is essential for those called to a higher mission. Human impatience often leads us to desire swift results, but when your journey is governed by the eternal, you are invited to slow down and trust the unfolding. It's often in your stillness, not your striving, that the divine design becomes clear. Heaven's clock doesn't tick to our schedules, but it is never offbeat. Every moment is purposeful, every pause intentional, even when it challenges your expectations. When you anchor yourself in divine timing, patience becomes your ally. You begin to notice the intricacies of each moment, realizing that every delay is a chapter in your formation. The seasons of waiting, the stretches of silence, and the instances of stillness, they are all working to shape the person needed for the mission ahead. There's structure in the seeming disorder, and rhythm in what feels like a standstill. Doubt often arises when our timelines don't match what's unfolding. We wonder why doors remain shut or paths remain hidden. Yet when you welcome divine timing, these aren't disappointments, they are preparations. These gaps in movement become spaces for recalibration, for growth, and for tuning your spirit more finely to the call of heaven. They ready you, ensuring that when the moment arrives, you are not only willing, but also worthy. Embracing divine timing eases the pressure of trying to force the future into existence. You begin to rest in the assurance that where you are is exactly where you need to be. You trade anxious pursuit for peaceful trust. Knowing that God's calendar is flawless allows you to step into each moment with confidence, believing that your destiny is not delayed, it is in progress. Fear is a common companion on the path of those chosen for greater things. It arises when you face the unfamiliar, when risks loom, when visibility shrinks, when voices of doubt grow louder. But the call on your life does not exempt you from fear. It calls you to face it differently. You're invited not to avoid fear, but to move through it. When you do, fear transforms. It no longer binds you, it builds you. You don't overcome fear by pretending it's absent. You overcome it by acknowledging it and walking anyway. Every time you act in defiance of fear, you rediscover your strength and deepen your reliance on the one who called you. Fear becomes the fire that refines, not the chain that restricts. Your courage isn't the absence of fear, it's your choice to keep walking with it beside you and not ahead of you. Each challenge that evokes fear is also an opportunity to stretch. Divine missions often demand that you step into unknowns. You'll be called to enter new realms, take unfamiliar steps, and embrace discomfort. But your calling is always greater than the unease you face. As you keep pressing forward despite your nerves, fear begins to fade. Its volume lowers, its grip loosens. Faith transforms fear. It doesn't erase it. It redeems it. What once immobilized you now fuels you. With trust anchoring your steps, you begin to walk, not with trembling but with peace. Fear may still whisper, but it no longer commands. You learn that your mission is defined not by the shadows that try to block your light, but by your perseverance to shine through them. And through all of this, one powerful companion remains: prayer. It is the sacred dialogue between your spirit and the divine. Prayer is more than a spiritual discipline. It is your lifeline. It opens channels of grace, offering wisdom, direction, and strength. In prayer, you surrender, not out of weakness, but in divine partnership. You lay bare your soul, invite the sacred in, and receive the clarity needed for each step forward. Prayer is your sanctuary in chaos. It silences the noise of the world and tunes your ear to the voice of heaven. Whether through quiet reflection or open conversation, it anchors your heart in divine truth. It reminds you of your mission, reorients your focus, and steadies your soul. In prayer, you invite not only comfort, but transformation. You make room for divine influence to touch your life in unseen ways. Answers may not always come in expected forms, but guidance always arrives. Prayer cultivates your awareness of the sacred dance between your heart and heaven's rhythm, and it keeps you tethered to the truth that you are never navigating this path alone. The journey of the chosen one is laced with reverence, trust, courage, and surrender. Through fear, through waiting, through selfless service, and through prayer, you rise, not for self-glory, but as a vessel through which the divine reaches the world.